Hey, everybody. Welcome to the If I Had More Time podcast. This is Eric. My wife, Kay, is with me.
Hi.
And we have some amazing people that Kay and I really look up to a lot in our church, Pete and Mimi and Zaldo. So you guys say hi.
Hi.
Hello, we're here at the request of my pastor.
Now, Pete listens to the podcast. Mimi, you haven't really listened to it that much.
I've listened to two of them.
Okay, that's not that many.
No.
Are they the two that I was on?
One when you were on and the one of who you interviewed last week.
Oh, yeah, that was
JP.
good.
That was
That
so
was good.
good.
Yeah, JP was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Just
And
curious.
this is your first time being on a podcast.
Yes.
And you were sharing that you were a little nervous.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You should not be. And what I told you, and I want to tell you again in front of everybody, if you will just be you.
Yep.
And Pete, you guys are amazing. We think the world of both of you, and we love your marriage and we love your relationship that you have with God. And I think you're such a blessing to our church. We are going to move into a teaching series next weekend on the book of Nehemiah and being people of influence in all spheres of life. And Pete is, gosh, I know, because anytime have posted a picture of you or you and I are at somewhere and I put it in my Instagram story, I'll have like so many people, he delivered my baby. and I also know that there's been times where Kay and I have prayed with a couple who, this even was just recently, who high risk pregnancy or a challenging pregnancy, and then Kay will give this couple your name, and Pete's always just so amazing at. You are by trade a doctor.
Yes, I am. Yeah,
An OBGYN?
Enjoyed it for over 35 years. Yes,
How many babies have you delivered, Pete? I know you know.
over 20,000 babies.
20,000
Oh,
babies.
my gosh.
You delivered a city of babies.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Over 20,000
20,000
babies.
babies.
Wait, this is the fascinating fact. I remember him sharing. How many babies have you delivered? What's the most you've delivered in a 24-hour period?
14. Okay.
No, I remember because one
believe
time I was
What
sitting around,
on earth?
people were like, "Man, Eric, you tired? You preached 7 times," and Pete was right there and was like, "I delivered like 10 babies."
I remember that.
So,
That was so funny.
That's what I remember
yeah.
too.
but what I appreciate is you represent Christ. So you're like very pastoral and shepherding. I know you're not a pastor by vocation, you're a doctor by vocation, but in many ways I view you as a pastor in the medical field, and so just really thankful for you. And Mimi, gosh, I've never seen you not smiling and filled with joy. So you guys both add so much to our church. All right, you've been married 34
years.
34
or
years.
408 months and 15 days.
But that makes the
He's
rest of
always
us
known
dudes
that.
look bad.
but
That
that's
you
what
know,
I do every day.
He's always
I
known that.
appreciate my sweet wife.
so every day you say it aloud.
Yeah, I say, well, you put it in my gratitude journal.
Or he writes a scripture for me, and he'll usually have the math at the bottom. How long
Really?
we've been together. I have boxes and boxes of scriptures he's written for me. And they're
Wow.
next to my
I'm
coffee
sorry,
cup.
baby. I'm sorry. I haven't.
I
Well,
don't
you
want to keep boxes.
you teach God's word.
We all have different ways of expressing that.
Exactly.
But that's a
exactly.
beautiful way.
That's
It
so
is.
Yeah.
sweet.
It is. No, I knew I was really, he was very special shortly after we got married. And this is a silly example, but it was so thoughtful. We were out of toilet paper at the house, and I went in to use the restroom, and he had put a little Kleenex where I would, so I wasn't like stranded. He wasn't even home.
Oh wow.
He left a Kleenex there knowing you would need it.
Yes, because there was no toilet paper.
That's so
So
sweet.
he's really,
I
he's
thought you were
really
gonna tell
nice.
him-
Baby, I didn't know that matters that much to you. I'll get some Kleenex, baby.
I thought she was going to say she used some of the things from her box.
No,
Anyway,
it just
okay.
was
Wow.
really. He's
That's
just
so
he's,
sweet,
He has a
Pete.
real servant heart.
he's-
I'm also not
You
surprised.
know, he has a servant heart.
He's a servant.
sure.
I've seen that so often.
Yeah.
All right, so this message this weekend we wrapped up the teaching series Proverbs for Your Love Life. A proverb the world says is variety. Well, you've been married for 34 years, so the world will say, "Man, you must have a boring life. Like there's been no variety." But yet you have a really joyful life. You have lived the opposite of the proverb of the world, which is variety is the spice of life, and you've been rejoiced in the wife of your youth, and you've rejoiced in each other. How have you kept your affection for one another through all these years of marriage?
Well, I took some advice from my father-in-law. they were married about 60 years. And I said to him, how did you do it? And we sat down and he said, just about the time you think you got them all figured out, they change on you. So just keep your toes, and it's an exciting journey. You just stay with it.
Yeah, he did. My dad was always so cute. He'd go, "You're never going to figure her out." Because by the time you figure her out, she's changed her mind on what you were figured out.
That's a very good point.
Right?
Yeah.
But that also kind of keeps you involved. Like he'd go, "I thought you liked that. I don't like that anymore. Don't do that." Because people change.
Yeah.
And women change, I think, more so.
Probably.
As our roles change. You guys have because our bodies change when you have a baby and all the different things that happen to you. I think that it's a more profound change in how we relate to each other at different seasons in our life.
We were once in a bed and breakfast where we were dating, and there was kind of like a little cards at the table, and one of them says, "Will you be the surveyor of your wife's or your girlfriend's body?" And I said, "Honey, you got me. I'm going to spend my entire life looking after you, taking care of you, and understanding what you like, you don't like." And so I just took it to heart.
Wow.
For that moment, and I've been.
And that
doing
was
that
actually an interesting period of time.
Mm-hmm.
We had agreed to be celibate, which is what he didn't share. So we played Scrabble that whole trip.
So this is pre-marriage.
Yeah,
Yes.
pre-marriage.
And so you're
dating.
being celibate, and
Yes.
so what do you do when you're?
You play a
Wait,
lot of
Bed and breakfast.
a lot of Scrabble.
Yeah.
A lot of
We
Scrabble.
played Scrabble. It would close a restaurant because you didn't want to go back to your
the
space
temptation.
too early. You got to be pretty tired, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because we weren't perfect in that, but a good almost 2 years we were celibate.
Wow.
And it was a interesting decision because this was also another way he really honored me. As I became involved in Bible study and reading scripture, my life was really changing. Everything I read, I understood I needed to have that change in my life. And so when I shared that with him, he did sort of screech on the brakes and kind of was uncomfortable. I'm committed to you. I love you, all of those things. And then he just honored me by going, if that's what you want.
That's big. That's big. I didn't know that about you, and what a great time to learn that right now on a podcast.
I know.
No,
I'm
I'm
not
glad
sure.
you're sharing because this is really common. In
Yes,
fact,
it is.
you mentioned you listened to the JPs last
Yes.
week. So JP and Monica, they had before marriage, he shared it. I'm not sharing
Yeah,
his
yeah,
story.
yeah.
They had been sexually active, and then they then meet Jesus, and they're like, "Gosh, we're gonna stop doing that." It's obviously really hard to put the brakes on.
Yeah.
And so that's what you did, and and Pete honored.
He did honor it. It wasn't a straight line. Like sometimes you could tell he was frustrated. He didn't really take that out on me ever. But it increased my self-confidence and self-worth that you're loved even when it's not going in the direction the other person wants it to go.
Yeah.
And the longer we were together, then we made a formal altar call at a Greg Laurie event in August, which was so much fun. We went with our Bible study, who we'd been studying the Word with for a year or more, and all of us went down and made a formal profession of faith,
cool.
which was so much fun. We're
That's
still friends.
really cool.
We're involved with that whole
Yeah.
group of friends to this day.
That's
great.
so cool.
and
And we have same spiritual birthday.
yeah, we do.
August 16th,
and then,
1991.
And then after that, I went on a 2-week nursing job to a camp for kids with cancer.
Wow.
And it was like pre-cell phone. So the pay phone at night was really your only way to like connect with your person. There's a long line, so you only talk a few minutes. And he said, "We're getting married when you get home." And I said,
we were
okay.
engaged at the time. for a couple
okay.
months.
Yeah.
And he said, "Everything will be ready to go and
Come on.
planned." So literally,
Wait, what?
I came home to a completely planned wedding, everything done. We went shopping for a dress.
That's all,
That
yeah.
sounds
That's all.
literally perfect.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
I wanted to get it done
So
because I couldn't wait anymore.
No, so
He had
I
enough.
Passion
no,
Pete?
there's
He had
diverse.
enough of celibacy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, that and I think it's really
true.
practical. So one of the people ask sometimes, well, Eric, I've heard you encourage short engagements, and one of the reasons I do encourage a short engagement is it is hard to be sexually pure
Right.
when you are so attracted to the woman that you're going to marry. And for us, sexual purity was really important. And we got engaged in June. We were supposed to be married the next June.
Yeah, I still remember this conversation he's about to tell.
And I can't remember where we met when I told you, but I was like, baby, I would like to go. I want to change the date.
That's what he said. He said, I know where we were.
Where were we?
We were at the Christian Student Center that we met at.
Really?
That's where we were. Yeah, I think we were actually sitting on the swing outside. Remember that swing
I
out
do.
there?
I remember that.
I think that's where we were. And you said, hey, babe, I want to change the date that we're going to get married. And I thought he meant
Push it back.
make
Because
it-
we were in college.
Yeah, like I mean we got engaged in June. This was probably a few weeks later. I don't know.
Probably not much.
No, probably not much.
Yeah, I
And
got like
so
6
I
weeks.
thought instead of getting married the next June, maybe he wanted to get
Yeah.
married like the next. I don't know what I thought. And I was like, okay, yeah, we can wait longer. And he was like, oh no, not longer. He said, no, I know. You said I'm thinking November, and so I assumed he meant November of the next year. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And he's like this November. And I was like 4 months, and he was like, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's what we did.
I could wait 4 months.
Yeah. We had very similar. We got engaged also in June
Okay.
in 1981, and it was in Del Mar. We got engaged, and she kind of hesitated to say yes, and finally she said yes, but don't put a date as to when we're going to get married yet.
I said, let's just wait right now, because I'd gotten my feelings hurt. I'd had, counseling in my later 20s, being single again, a bunch of stuff. And so obviously after we made a profession of faith and things were just getting clear,
Yeah.
Jesus just clears,
Yep.
things up. That's when, so he says this to me on the phone, and he wasn't kidding. I mean, he had the venue, he had the guy
Oh my
to marry us,
gosh.
he had the reception, he had the cake, he had
carriage from the
the
chapel.
carriage, horse-drawn carriage. I mean, it was stunning. It was
Yeah.
lovely.
And when is your anniversary?
September 21st, 1991.
Okay.
It's awesome.
We went to Aspen, Colorado, and then you have the added thing that we work together. So
Right.
that
right.
so you're trying not to share all of that with people at work. Anyway, it was a really funny time, and we sat in the car after this great weekend. We got married; it was so special and all that. And we were going to work 3 days, and then we were going to go on a 10-day honeymoon. And so we were like, "Are we wearing our rings? Are we talking about this? What are we doing?" And so then we went in, and it's like 6:30 in the morning when you're doing this because you work 7 to 7. And I come in, and my boss is at the end of the hallway, and she goes, if it isn't, Miss Roberts. And I go, not anymore. And she comes flying down the hall. And there'd been this big rumor over the weekend because he told one patient.
Oh, that's all you got to tell. Yeah.
One patient, and she happened to come in and be in labor and
Oh,
say,
my
can you believe
gosh.
my doctor's getting married and I'm
Right.
having my baby? And they were like, who's your doctor?
Oh my word, that's an amazing
So that's
story.
funny. Yeah, it was a funny story.
Can I ask a question?
Go,
babe?
baby.
Do you guys? So, what Eric was asking earlier is how you keep the affectionate excitement through the years. I was thinking I think, and I just want to see what you guys think about this. I think if someone had told me this early on, I probably would have been like, "That's not true." But I think one of the ways that it's been true for us is as you get comfortable being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. As you experience I don't want to say I don't want to say fighting, but when you go through a trial or a hard time, and then you see the other person respond in grace and kindness, that is a natural affection that develops, and then I think it makes everything else better, right? Do you agree with that, babe?
Yeah, obviously. I think anytime great grace overwhelms pain or
Yeah.
a struggle, it for sure melts somebody's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about this today. We've held hands and we're mad at each other, but we still hold hands. And if we're kind of weirdly annoyed or something hasn't gone great, but we get in bed and we're spooning each other when we go to sleep, even if we're not in the perfect, mindset of intimacy or whatever. And then what we were saying in the car today is, and I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I was making it up in my head, but I know I've never woken up to being mad. And
Really?
neither is he.
Oh, wow.
And like we'll kind of
So spooning is you're saying spooning is the key?
Yeah, you know, you
Yeah.
just kind of like hold each other, you know, and nothing else has to happen. I mean, unless it's him, because but
We can get to that in a minute.
but honestly, there's something about. And when we were talking to Jared about it, he goes, "How cool is that God works even when we're sleeping?"
That is great.
And that, you know, it kind of like takes the oomph out of it. It just
Right.
there's no way. And so I'll look at him in the morning and he'll go, "You know, I'm so sorry that I was impatient or I said that." And because he's been up already in God's word, and so God's done whatever he's going to do with
Right.
him. And I don't have a long. I don't hold on to
Yeah.
stuff, you know. So then I'll look at him and go, "Oh, me too," you know, and we just move
Yeah.
on.
Have you guys ever done that Gary Chapman 5 love languages?
we totally
Because you're both mentioning touch. Is touch one of you?
Well, words of affirmation for me.
Okay.
And touch for sure.
Okay.
Affection, but not always sexual
Not sexual
attention.
touch. No, it could be holding
But
hands.
just like closeness, you know.
So you when Pete holds your hand or
Mm-hmm.
spoons you, you feel close.
Yeah.
Eric, I think mine's touch too.
Oh, I love it. I'm great. I rejoice in that one.
I changed mine.
Or like, you know, rub your back
Yeah.
or, you know, just non-sexual affection is
Yes.
very connecting. And then I mean, who knows where it goes after that.
Right.
But that idea that there isn't an end game necessarily,
Right.
you're just
Enjoying touching
yes,
one another.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked is because you talked about holding hands, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think the holding hands is not only great for the intimacy that it fosters, which it does, but it also shows a sense of I am so proud to be married to this person. I want people to know that I belong to her, she belongs to me. That's where I'm not saying be so public display of affection that it makes people
Right.
uncomfortable.
No,
not that.
No, I don't
but
like that either.
just the subtle public displays of affection
Yes.
with your wife is a way that affirms to your wife that he really does esteem me and wants everyone to know
Yes.
that we're together.
And that's
You know.
definitely a way to keep affection and excitement
Totally.
in your marriage.
The,
for
the,
sure.
the public
No,
displays
I
of
think it
affection,
does
the
too.
dates.
I think it does
Yeah.
too.
In the 34 years I've been married, I mean, I can't wait to come home. And then maybe 5:30 or maybe 10:30 at night. But I can't wait to do something with her. And oftentimes we're fixing dinners. And when we had young kids, we would do things together. We've always began our relationship being a teamwork. And why don't you explain how we did
Well,
that at
you
work?
know, when you meet at work, there's almost like this club, if you will, because whatever happens in the operating room, only the people in the operating room were there to know that, and it's either noteworthy or funny or sad or special, whatever it is. There's like this building of connection when you work together, and especially when you're taking care of somebody who needs help.
Yeah.
And then I just admired him too. Like we worked well together. And we loved working together. I almost was like mourned when I had Luke. Here we were building this life together, but I mourned the idea that we wouldn't be working together, delivering babies and doing all that. It felt sad to me in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because we had enjoyed it so much. And, I joke with him now, like that white jacket, if I'm kind of mad at him, go wear your white coat for a little bit. And,
I'm trying to keep it in the bedroom, the white coat.
no.
That's amazing.
No, but
That's so funny.
I've always, and I'm sure you have that a little bit. He does such a brilliant job that you look at your person and
Yeah,
you think,
it's true.
my gosh, you're just proud of them and love them.
Definitely.
And professionally, I haven't seen him not do a brilliant job
He is brilliant.
hardly ever. And honestly, he really puts his heart and soul there.
Yes.
And so that white coat symbolizes a lot of
Yes.
things for me.
That is so well said.
It's just,
it's
it's really
such
interesting.
a high level of respect I'm hearing. Like I'm just hearing like so much love and respect
love it.
from both of you, which I think back to the original question.
Yeah.
You do keep excitement in your marriage when you,
You
have
do,
that, right?
you do. But and there's seasons of things that make that harder.
Yeah.
Of course.
Young families and all
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So an occasional hotel room is the right answer
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Just
To
to
get
get away and
We
not
agree with that.
because I have a hard time compartmentalizing my life. So if there's a bunch of kids or teenagers
Yeah.
around, like I don't feel like, hey, baby,
Right.
I feel like a mother and make sure everyone's
Yes.
okay and all that. So when we've gotten away together alone, that's
Yeah.
easier to be a good girlfriend, you
Yeah.
know, or good wife
Yeah,
in
it's
all
good.
in every way. And I say girlfriend, meaning we always call each other, that's my boyfriend, that's
I
my
know what you
girlfriend.
meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, just
I
to
do.
clarify.
I do
know, that's
but I'm
weird.
glad. But I do want to. I want to go ahead and I'm going to be respectful. And I never want to be like this weekend. Obviously, I taught on sex. I don't want to be I'm trying to get to the edge of something or
Yeah.
crass. But I do also not want to shy away from God's design for sex. And in Proverbs 5, where we spent time in the text together this weekend, I mean, it's a really explicit text. And the father, the wisdom writer, is saying to the son, do not drink from other cisterns. Like enjoy the wife of your youth. I know that anytime I talk about sex, it's like fire in that it's great within the boundaries and it can warm you, but it also, when it's outside the boundaries, it can bring a lot of damage. Yeah. And so it's why when someone's been violated sexually, they might be in therapy for 30, 40 years. That's how we know sex is so powerful, you know? And so I'm saying that because I know that on the other side of this microphone, there are listeners with all different stories and different places in their marriage. And so I'm wanting to be sensitive to you as the listener, but I'm also wanting to give you a vision from Proverbs 5 and in this conversation with Pete and Mimi on why sexual intimacy in a marriage is important. I know you have likely, because of the kind of people you are, have heard, just as Kay and I have had, you've probably had couples come to you in all different places in their journey. And sometimes sex is one of the problems that can happen in a marriage.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
often the lack
or
lack thereof can really cause some distance. And so as you've had conversations, and I know that you are highly respected, as you have had conversations with men, and Mimi with women, and someone, without speaking about a specific problem that someone is having, what have you wanted them to understand on why sexual intimacy in your marriage is so important?
Well, I actually deal with women because I'm an obstetrician.
Right.
And the most difficult part or time of a woman to regain her sexual intimacy is postpartum, after they have a child. And they come to me 2 or 3 months after they had a child. I said, we don't feel like we want to have sex with each other. And so it could be physical, it could be emotional, but most of the time is, like Mimi says, they can't get their mind to think as a husband or a wife or a spouse.
Okay. Because there's so much in mom
involved
mode
with
at
that
that
new
time?
child, yeah. And I said, take 24 hours, have your in-laws who you trust with that child, and go in a hotel and enjoy each other. You'll work. Come back and tell me if it didn't happen. If you have problems physically, then I can address it. But 99% of the time, it's more just the emotional
Wow,
part.
Pete, that is interesting.
The mind is so powerful.
Yeah.
In all of that.
Right.
You know, I mean, and you can, the longer you're married, you can talk yourself into somebody. You know, I could talk myself in, like he's the greatest thing in the world, and I could 15 minutes later, if I wanted to go down that road, my mind could go, my gosh, our whole life's been impacted by his job, or
Right.
he's never home, or you know what I mean. You can feel it either
Yeah,
way.
and then if you have friends that help you go down that rabbit hole, then it can get really bad.
Exactly. Years and years ago, Kenton gave a sermon about the gap. There's always a gap in behavior, and what you fill the gap with means everything in your relationship. So if he's late for the 50th time and dinner's cold, I can either say like, oh gosh, he must have had an emergency in the OR. I hope everything's okay. Pray for the patient, pray for his safety. Or I could go, you know what, I'm so sick of this. He's, this and this and this. And then if you're out with a bunch of girls that
Yes.
are also talking bad about
Right.
their husbands,
Exactly.
your mind is so powerful
It
in
is.
how we relate
Yeah.
to each other. And we were laughing about how my older brother, he always marketed his wife to us and to himself. And she always marketed him to their kids and our family. And we kind of have laughed that we market each other to each other. Like he'll go, you look so pretty. And there is not a shred of truth in that statement. in the moment he has said it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just woke up and I'm like,
Mimi, she's
beautiful.
You are a beautiful woman.
thank you.
You
But
are.
Yeah.
the older you get, it's a little bit like anything. You just don't feel that same feeling. And he's very affirming.
Come on, Pete.
No, but he's very affirming,
Yeah, he
even
is.
when he could go like, what are you doing with your hair? Or, whatever. And we try to kind of think the best of each other
I love
and
it.
put our best foot
Yeah.
forward toward each other.
Totally. Esteem highly.
Yes.
Like that George
Exactly.
Bernard Shaw quote
Exactly.
that I referenced in the message. So Pete, you're encouraging someone really practically there. Hey, get some time away with your spouse, and you're saying 99% of the time that everything's
the
great.
equipment
there.
works fine and
Yeah,
you're
everything's
okay.
great.
Yeah.
Theologically, I don't know, and I'm not assuming that with 20,000 deliveries you've had the theological conversation all 20,000 times, but just from your own marriage and your own time in the Scripture, why are you wanting to help in that way? Why is it important that the couple connect sexually? Why is the sexual intimacy important? Why is the wisdom writer in Proverbs 5 really wanting us to have a high view of sex within the marriage? Yeah.
Because it's kind of like connecting with our triune God. We connect with the God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The same way in intimacy or relationship with your spouse, you want to intimate emotionally, intellectually, and physically. It all comes together. And and because you are a Christian man or Christian woman, you want to be intimate and she's the one I want to connect with.
Yes.
So when you have all the connections, that's when you feel connected one-on-one in the most thorough. That's why I think it's important. I've had those connections with people who are Christian couples. I say, hey, let's talk about this, okay?
Yeah.
Because he's going to want it more than you. You're a mother. You're more connected to that child, but he's going to need to be connected with you.
Yeah.
To make this your marriage the long run.
Yeah.
And we have a high, we have friends who grew up in a divorced home, or we have family members that have been divorced. Divorce has been all over. We're a blended family. It's just a hard thing. So if you can help people connect in these ways that, I think there's so many things people don't talk about, maybe except for their pastor or their doctor. And so if you can impart that.
I love that you are.
It's important.
It is important.
Yeah.
I said in the message that really, when you read Proverbs 5, you get the sense that the sexual intimacy between the husband and wife is a reclaiming of the vows. It's a restatement of the vows that I'm committing to you fully. I know you fully, because we are fully bare when we are sexually intimate, right? So I know you fully, you know me fully, I love you fully, I'm fully loved by you. That sexual intimacy, obviously, God's the one who created the parts and the feelings that go along and all of everything where it is. He created all of that, but it's deeper than the pleasure. Yes. There is pleasure, but it's deeper than the pleasure. It is a reconnecting, a recommitment. I mean, in Proverbs 5, there's this like get intoxicated with the wife of your youth, and just like alcohol can numb you from the pain of this world. That's why some people become alcoholics, which is not a great. It's not great to self-medicate with alcohol, but some do. Intoxicated to have the pain of this world be lost for a couple of moments. That's essentially Proverbs 5. That the sexual intimacy in the marriage can cause you to forget about the pain of this world for a couple of moments.
Yeah.
I think that may be why you need to escape your life every once in a while. You know what I mean? I think that's a really big point of connection for you, and kind of almost not a coping mechanism in a weird way, but just that.
It's a healthy. If so, it's healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If so, it's healthy because he's reaffirming his vows to you as he pursues you.
Yeah.
In that Tim Keller book, The Meaning of Marriage.
It's a great book, yeah.
And Eric, I may say this wrong, so help me with it. But he says something that's really interesting. I think some people would be like, "That's not true," but it is clearly true, and it goes right along with this. He talks about how sexual intimacy within a marriage completes the cycle. Like if you kind of think like, okay, we're not getting along, we're not jiving, there's tension between us, I'm not having sex with them. But in reality, the opposite is what works because it's a language that only the two of you speak.
That's good.
And so that like when you are saying like, I'm not crazy about him right now. Like he says like that is the need to complete the cycle. Like it softens your heart to other things and makes you forget about the trivial nitpicking arguments
You're right.
that you had prior. And it is true.
And I think women go like, okay, we need to get this settled and then we can resume our physical life.
Right.
And a guy's like, hey, let's get together and then let's talk after. and then the conversation's different.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's really hard because I'm still a woman and he's still a man. So
Right.
that doesn't always.
And
Right.
I'm
You
not
know,
taking this to
jive.
the nth degree, okay? I said, when she has a belly ache or she has a headache, she, I can take care of it. I know. Just get
He has
me
a
in the-
cure for everything and it's always the same cure.
Get me in the bedroom.
Everything.
Sex cures it all. Pete.
I said to him a couple weeks ago, he had a fever, and I go, I think you have a fever. He goes, I know. I think we should probably. And I go,
Wow.
what?
We are going to have to put in the show notes that this is
Sorry.
explicit. Oh, my gosh.
But he does have one anecdote.
And Pete, how old are you again?
74.
74, my man.
It's still ticking.
You guys.
Like I said, there may be snow on my chimney, but there's still fire inside me.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Man.
Okay.
Wow.
out with that.
hey, I said,
for anyone just listening, he has gray hair. Okay, I just
yeah, but he's a very
Like,
handsome man.
he's very
a
handsome.
very handsome man. You guys are an amazing couple.
Eric, I'm
Oh
curious
my
with
gosh.
this question.
Yep. So okay, we'll move away from sex
Let's do that.
with this question.
Well, I mean, might come back to it. I don't know.
What does it look like in practical, everyday terms to belong wholly to one another? Yeah, this definitely includes sexual intimacy, but what does it look like in practical, everyday terms to belong wholly to one another? Wholly, not wholly, HOLY, but wholly, fully, WHOLLY, fully, wholly, like you, the whole person, to belong the whole person. Now, you know, there are, and I know I've had these conversations. If someone's listening, I'm sure because of the number of people who do, that this is the case where you have had someone who's had a car accident and they're unable to engage sexually. I wouldn't want that person to feel as if they're not giving themselves fully, and so I wouldn't want
That's a
to.
good point.
I'd want to answer the question: to give yourself wholly to your spouse is to give yourself in every way that you can, and so. If you can sexually, you should give yourself fully sexually only to your spouse, to no one else. But intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, practical everyday terms, to give yourself fully to your spouse means every aspect of you they receive from you, and you're one person, and so you care about every aspect of her
them,
or of him, or the other person.
Yeah, I think practically the way I look at it with my sweet wife is kind of like it's serving. Serving is a big thing for me. I like to serve her. From the morning, I pour her coffee in the morning.
And he wants to pour it. If I
Come
come in and I just walk over because I'm half dead, he's like, wait.
It's already poured?
Wait. No, but he just wants to jump up and pour it. And we just don't get to do that often because he's gone a lot of early mornings
Really
with surgery
sweet.
or whatever. But it is something he really likes to do that. It's like a ritual.
That's sweet, man.
And
So
it-
you know,
it's
kind of
very
shows
sweet.
what kind of her needs are. Okay, she needs to get some things dropped off, or I got to take care of some items for the kids, or
Well, you like to map if I'm going somewhere
Yeah.
far. He'll go, hey, I looked at a couple of routes, and
Yeah.
I think you should start this way, and then call me if there's traffic, and we'll. And we. It's a really fun way to include him in what I'm doing.
That's
if
great,
I'm
Pete.
driving somewhere far with either my girlfriends or one of the girls or
Yeah.
Luke
Yeah.
or something like that. I was thinking though that we were talking about this in the car. So that idea that a win for him is a win for me too.
Yeah.
And a win for me is a win for him. And we've always taught our kids that. A win for one of you guys is a win for all
That's
of
excellent.
us.
That's excellent.
And it's being all in for your family
Yes.
and for each other. There's no competition or comparison, because sometimes when you say I was stay-at-home mom after I worked a little bit after Luke was born, and then when we adopted Lily, we just knew that I had to pour all everything into bonding with that baby, and so not being at work at all felt really funny to me. I felt it was contributing differently. It felt weird,
Yeah.
but being wholly for each other, he kept saying, "You're doing the most important thing.
Right.
We're growing our family. We're doing,
great.
and he really pushed that.
That's great.
And that was
Yeah.
a good way to do that.
So it's kind of like making the other person number one and advertising her that way to our children
Yes.
and to one another.
And that's been a consistent thread throughout this series
Yes, it has.
and couples we've talked to, that the kids know that the spouse is most important.
Oh,
Yes.
totally.
Yeah.
Obviously, we believe Jesus is
Right,
first,
yeah.
but in
Right.
terms of human relationships,
Human
that
relationships,
the spouse
spouse,
is most
yeah.
important.
I like how you're saying that, like advertise them to the other, like
Yeah.
like make them look good to
Yeah, it's
other
kinda like-
people,
yeah.
and make them look good to your kid. I think we do that too, and
You've said that language, and I agree. I totally agree that that's been a value for you. That you've wanted to have our daughters see me as a great dad
and be a hero. I mean, like
Yeah,
Yeah, you-
and I've
you want
wanted them
that.
to see you as an amazing mom, which
Yeah.
is easier for me to set you up as an amazing
no,
mom.
it's not, Eric.
so-
You're silly. I mean, even like as a husband, like when I talk about, I just told someone this the other day that it's I have to be, I want to be surround myself with other people who talk highly of their husbands, because it's easy to fall into the trap of like, oh maybe, and not that I would say anything, but even for your mind,
Right.
to wonder. So I mean, I think just being in the habit of, like, I've said this in this podcast before, but if someone were to say to me, Kay, Eric said this about you, and it was something critical, I would know he didn't.
Yeah, there's no way.
I would know it wasn't true.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
that isn't the track record we have. Like, and I think that right there, that alone
Yeah.
supports intimacy. Like knowing the person has your back to your face and to your back. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
the high level of trust
Trust, that's
for
right.
sure. It breeds intimacy.
For sure.
And none of us do it perfectly. So when we kind of miss the mark in a relationship with our children, particularly, she won't criticize me in that moment. We'll do it outside the circle with our children.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
this is how you can do it better. And she does it in a very kind way. I don't take offense to it.
I miss the mark with our kids all the time.
Well, it's hard. It's impossible
Yeah.
not to. And I think intimacy with them is, hey, you know that your dad and I've only been married. We're learning too, and we're learning how to be good parents to you guys. If we made a mistake,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
You know?
apologizing to your kids is actually a great
Yes.
model of repentance
It is.
for them to see. My mom or my dad knows that he or she's not perfect and is asking for forgiveness. And that the lesson ends up being really profound and
It
great.
does. It
there.
does.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
And that idea, the saddest thing in the world to me is how many people don't get past the hard stuff to get to like where we are now, where we were trying to talk about, like, we still bicker. And, our kids will go, oh, nice, Bickersons, but that's what we call it.
Bickersons?
Yeah, the Bickersons.
That's so funny.
But we don't stay there.
Yeah.
And so there's not a lot of resentment built up.
Good.
Because we're current on,
Yes.
I said what I needed to say, he said what he needed to say. But so many people aren't letting their relationship get all the way to the part where, what an incredible
Yes.
history.
Get,
What an,
yes, get to the good stuff.
Get to the good
Yeah.
stuff, And I mean, you don't look as cute or whatever because you're older. I mean, I always thought we'd go to Africa and serve and we'd be all young and cute and, kiss under the mosquito net or whatever at night. We're going to be like old and hoping we
You can
can
still
live
kiss
down
on,
to
you can
it.
still kiss on the mosquito net.
For yourself.
But it's just,
Pete's in.
it all looks different than you think.
Right.
But it's really worth getting through the, just leaning in until you
Totally.
can get past it.
That's really great.
And I know this is true of Kay and me when it comes to intimacy. We similarly are high communicative. And so there's not, in all of our years of marriage, there's not been bitterness
Yeah.
beneath the surface because we fight it out
Yeah.
Fight it out.
quickly.
Yeah, real
like
time.
we get to it quickly.
Yeah.
And then that just doesn't allow your heart to have layers and layers
Right.
of, bitterness or anger
or disconnect or all that. You just don't have it.
You're cleaning that out.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of meant at the beginning with the question of how do you keep the affection and excitement there. I think I think Liz and Roddy said this when they were on the podcast, getting vulnerable fast.
Yeah.
Like just get to it. Just do it. I mean, just get to it fast. Get it
Yeah.
done. Don't have bitterness. Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for you guys crushed it. I
So
just
fun.
looked at the clock and I didn't realize we were talking so long.
I hope it was what
This
you
is
need.
exactly what Kay thought
Perfect.
would be. We would just have a great time talking
Yeah.
to you guys. We love you so
Yeah.
much.
Love you so
No,
much.
we
We've
love you
enjoyed
guys
it.
too.
Really have.
We really
Yeah,
have.
I hope it helps other people.
It's helpful. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the If I Had More Time podcast.